All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Made for the Range podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you for that. Feel free to subscribe, leave comments down below, ask questions as well. All of the guests, as you guys know, I do have some decent access to, so we can ask follow-up questions. Probably going to do more podcasts. I know I'm going to do another one after this with Chandler at some point. But today we are at the TaylorMade Kingdom, which is an absolute honor. It's beautiful here. Love it here. And I'm with Chandler CARR. We met 3 years ago now, because I was the club champion still.
Yep.
So it's been a while. I connected with Chandler right away just because of the cadence and like the logic at which you talked about things when I first met you really spoke to me, and it helped me nail things down in kind of an easier way. There's also like a 3-foot difference in height between Chandler and I, so he's very memorable. But yeah, so introduce yourself. So this is Chandler CARR, we're at TaylorMade, but introduce yourself and then kind of your title, and then just what your current role outlook is at TaylorMade.
Yeah, for sure. So my name's Chandler CARR. I'm a global product manager for here at TaylorMade. I'm 18 years in. Here with the company, coming up, actually 18 and a half years if you're really getting, specific.
Yeah.
And I basically manage all things metalwood and specialty products. That would include like kid sets, package sets, the Kalea product, things like that. So I kind of live at both sides of the spectrum, our metalwood line. Mm-hmm. And then all the way down to like your junior set. So, no irons, no wedges for me though, no putters, but I'm living at both sides there.
So no irons, no wedges, but you are at least as far as social media shows, the par 3 hole-in-one ninja with your wedges. So, and you and I, it's funny because you and I have talked a little bit about wedge setup. You just showed me off camera your current one. We did throw a BGT in there, which we're still messing with, I know. But so, from a metalwood standpoint, though, your current kind of baby, kind of the current fascination of the golf industry in general is that brand new R7 quad. So we definitely have to talk about that a little bit.
For sure.
Because you and I also shared some pretty funny messages.
Yeah.
So talk to us a little bit about, like, obviously, I'll even throw it all the way back to the 300 mini driver too. Like that one was really, really good. Didn't have the hype that they have now, but really, really good. And then into now with the R7 quad, kind of how did that evolution happen? And then for you, where does that mini driver product really sit? Like who's actually supposed to buy that mini driver product?
Yeah, so it's a really good question. I do think this R7 in general, like going back, I started TaylorMade when the original R7 Super Quad was just hitting the market.
Okay.
So I was literally traveling around in a van, building clubs for consumers on site. I would fit you, I'd build clubs on site, and then I'd hand you, here's your R7 quad.
Yeah.
And at the time, there was also the Burner 07.
Yeah.
So two pretty iconic drivers at the time. And it was a cool thing to like bring back something that like I was selling when I first started. So that was kind of cool. But the mini driver category has exploded. And I think the mini driver category has found its way from a niche product to now there's validity for a lot of golfers of all abilities can find benefit of a mini driver, whether you're kind of brand new to the game or whether a guy like Adam Scott this last week at the Open, at the U.S. Open playing a mini driver. Like it's pretty cool how widespread a mini driver can be in terms of handicap ability, playing ability, and the benefits all those golfers can see.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's funny because the first time I tested the R7, got some just wild numbers out of the thing. I had played the Burner, the first Burner, not the Copper, for like 2 years, basically until I got the R7 from you guys, and just took the shaft out of that, put it in the R7 Quad Mini, and holy cow, like that thing was explosive. I was like 275 in the air, crazy, like efficient spin window with launch. And I messaged you and I'm like, dude, what am I supposed to do with this? Because I can't have something that close to my driver. And then I can't have something that far away from whatever that next club was. And then like talking to you a little bit and then also just messing with things, like kind of dialed it down into that perfect segment. And I think that's the thing for people too with the mini driver is it's so versatile.
Yep.
You can make the club what you need it to be. If you feel like that's the right thing that you need, that you're missing, it's not hard to adjust, especially now with the 4 weights, right?
Yep.
Not hard to adjust that mini driver to really get what you need out of it.
Yeah, if you can, find benefit, and I say, the benefits of a smaller head in general, right? We're dealing with a 305 or 306 cc driver head. That allows us to do crazy things with the CG placement and the weight. So if you move those weights forward, you're getting penetrating flight, low spin, you get that chase out, and to your point, you can catch up to some of your driver
Yeah,
distances.
for sure.
Purely because of the efficiency you get with that center of gravity. And on the other side of that, moving the weight all the way far back, you can increase your spin, increase your launch, and dial it back a little bit too. And then also using loft, right?
Yeah.
With the loft sleeve, if you want to, Patrick Baxter, who you were just with, he plays his at, I think, 10 degrees of loft with kind of an asymmetric weight setting, and he can chase it out there like 270 plus, just being able to find fairways when you need to. So it's really versatile too, and I think that's the benefit of that is smaller head size allows us to be really creative with the CG placement.
Yeah.
As long as you're a decent enough ball striker to where you can get away with that smaller head. There's a benefit of 460 with the driver.
100%. Yeah.
Big old face, you got a lot of forgiveness there and a really high MOI. But the sacrifice of that is sometimes the launch efficiency you get with that center of gravity being so low. Like the CG projection on a mini driver with the weights forward is like negative 2.2. It's like really, really low.
Yeah. So trying to move right through things. So one of the other really unique things that I've seen you, or we've discussed a little bit, but also that I know you work on and get to do is, so you have all this metalwoods knowledge and everything at the top end for the most skilled players in the world, and you get to work with some of those guys. But you're also on the design team for the kid sets, which is so cool. So first off, how are the kid sets looked at? Because I know that with the Rory set, you guys kind of changed the outlook of how maybe kids sets were looked at compared to what may have been offered in the past. But how do you just personally, how do you take the knowledge that you gain from the high speed stuff with the the inline like QI35 now, and how do you take that and you put that into the development of a kids product that is more polished than just a package set from a box store?
So I think it boils down to there's the performance side of things, but then there's also the like kind of the tug at your heartstrings moments with the kid set, because my goal and my dream with that set that we just launched actually last year is to have maybe one of these kids that was their first set, and then they're going to go on to win the Masters or the next Grand Slam, and that's their entryway into the golf, and that's kind of what drives us is like what kind of impact can we have for the the longevity of the game. Maybe like when I'm all long gone, that some guy or kid grows up and now he talks about his set of clubs when he was a kid was a little TaylorMade set. So like we use that motivation to draw inspiration, like what's going to help this kid enjoy the game, have fun with the game. And then also too, like from a performance standpoint, got to give them plenty of loft. It's got to be light enough. Even the shafts are specific to age range. So it's not just like, how cheap can we make this?
That's not
and
what
then
it's
give
about,
a kid a club that he can go beat up. Which is a you see some of these kids clubs.
That's a factor, for sure, 100%.
Yeah, those set covers don't get used.
Which is so sad.
But I will say though, we want kids even at 4 or 5 years old to have success.
No, it's super cool, and like I think the way that your guys' kid stuff is thought out, like you said, there's different ways through the age range, but also through like some body mechanics of height and stuff that like it's easier to set a kid up for success, because I think a lot of times too, when you talk about that market, a lot of whether they play golf is not how good they are, it's whether they liked doing it or not. And when it's hard to play golf, it's not fun to play golf. And I tell people that, as we get up in age ranges, obviously, when you get into that, like starting, at 13 years old, like becoming a teenager stuff, and then into like high school, it should be so much more about how can you make them enjoy the game. And a lot of that comes with like playing well and being able to hit your clubs well, or at the very least just figuring out how to make sure that somebody doesn't feel like their clubs are the reason that they don't enjoy the game of golf. And that's a big reason why I started Made for the Range, was because from a club fitting atmosphere, it can be pretty exclusive, I guess you could say, especially because I came from a boutique fitter, right? Like from Club Champion, their business model is much more expensive and kind of high end, and for that type of person, and bridging the gap between somebody who either buys their clubs online and doesn't get fit at all, or the best thing they've done is step into a demo bay, for example, and two things go wrong. One, you get people that are buying a QI35 LS with a Ventus Black, and they should be in a QI35 Max with something a little easier to hit, and it causes two problems though. One, they blame the clubs and they blame the manufacturer, and there's bad words out there for a club they never should have bought in the first place, or they stop playing golf, which is the worst outcome of that, right? So to be able to look at that and start kids off on a good foot, And I also think it's cool to show them an understanding of, maybe they had a box set that wasn't very expensive, and their parents, for their birthday, they get them the TaylorMade kids set, and they go out, and the next time they play golf with mom and dad, they do so much better. And I like that personally, because it's also a cool way for younger ages to start learning about, like, hey, your clubs make a very big difference, and like, here's kind of why, and here's how you grow with those. So I think it's really cool what you guys do. And then you also had the benefit of, you had some family that you got to show off with the marketing of the kids set, which is really cool for you to work on.
Yeah, my nephew was in the ad, so that really helped. Got to see him swing and hit a few times, and that was fun.
Yeah, that's super cool. So what is, it's obviously slower. It's a slower iterative process for something like that, but what's the growth cycle of something like that? What's the outlook of that demographic of players at such a young age, and then maybe moving into that slightly higher gap between kind of that kid set and high school, maybe?
Yeah, if I look back at my clubs that I used when I was playing in high school and middle school and stuff like that, like when you get out of the kid set clubs, and you're kind of upgrading some, I don't want to say real deal clubs, because the kids clubs are real deal, but some more adult clubs, probably, best way to say it. But I think it's interesting because there is a bit of a kind of an empty space there of like your huge jump between like where the kid sets end and where like a men's set or women's set starts. And I think we are, that's still an area that we can improve in. I think it's an area that, your 10 to 14-year-old kid, these kids are getting pretty tall now anyway. They can almost fit a freshman in high school could fit a men's set, no problem now, it seems like. But I do think it's an area that, with the customization that we have, you can take, really any one of our inline clubs and go to the right length. We actually have, I know you spoke with Matt Simone too, but we have logic built in so that if you are in between kind of a men's set or women's set for your youth, like you can actually customize a set that would be applicable for that and also grow into for a little bit.
Sure. Yeah, I have a perfect story for this. I don't know how old Owen is. I think he's either 13 or 14. And he was struggling. He had some sort of kid set from something, but he's a bit of a stronger kid, right? He's also way taller than anybody else that's his age. It's kind of nuts. I ended up building him a Stealth 2 women's head, so the silver head, with one of the Accra SRT junior shafts. Tipped it a whole bunch based on Accra's recommendation for him. Last week I went out and played with him. He's been playing it for a couple months. Absolutely keeps like telling me he loves it. His dad keeps saying how happy it is and like it's so fun to play. This kid, he's 14. He's using this thing. He's hitting the ball like 260 yards. Yeah. Like it's rolling up to where we are, and I'm like, holy cow, man! Like this is ridiculous. But it's so fun to be able to show them that and to be able to see that. And like you said, there's ways of adapting for that age and kind of that skill level. But it's interesting to see how the market shifts, because you also talk about like women's sets in general. So like you work on the team that develops the Kalia stuff. I would be super interested to see and hear from you like how you go about that and how that is. I think the important part for the consumer and people watching is how is the Kalia set differentiated from a QI35 women's or that the high end light line or something like that.
Yeah, so it's a completely different demographic. First of all, I think when you look at we want to play in the premium space for women's products, right? Sure. This is not just a pink it and shrink it mentality. Yeah. And I know that's been kicked around a lot, but the last thing that we want to do is just cut it down 2 inches, throw some pink flowers on it and call it a day. That's not what women want. Yeah. And we have a whole women's advisory board actually in Europe. We have a women's golf and social club actually here in TaylorMade headquarters. So we're actually listening to what the ladies want. Yeah. And we're providing, top of the line performance, but in a cosmetic package and also weight specification that is right for that golfer to have success. So we look at like QI35 as kind of your collegiate level, advanced, I'm the women's club champion at my club type set. Absolutely. Even though the clay set can work just as good for that. But there's a certain level of market where it's almost I want to not have to go through the whole process of fitting. Yeah. Oh yeah. That you can go through like, hey, this is your grab and go, everything I need, but it's still at a premium price point, premium quality. Yeah. Yep. No, and they look beautiful too. Like that, I think that's a huge deal. It's funny because my cousin, who is 100% listening to this, she's a better golfer than she gives herself credit for. She actually is the club champion in her club for the last like 3 years. She's on a 3-peat right now. But I talk to her a lot,
and I wouldn't say it's been a quick process, but it's one of those things where usually when I can get something that is actually right for her in her hands versus just the women's stuff that she has, it's pretty funny because she sees the difference and she kind of gives me that like, huh, like, yeah, that's interesting. Or I've done it, like her husband is the same thing. Like he's, in my life, he's the person I've looked up to my whole life, and he's like the pinnacle of human beings for me. And he's so stubborn though with some of his golf equipment choices, and now he's at the point where he like, if anything needs to change, he's like, hey, just what do I need? And I'll just bring him something. It usually works. But from the women's side, like she has said, she's like, I wish it just wasn't, I think the term you just used, the pink it and shrink it, is so funny. She's like, I wish it wasn't that. Like I wish it would be kind of more along the lines. And she'll say, she's like, I do like the pink stuff. Like it's nice, but I don't need it to be, I don't need to be frilly pink, right? Like I still want it to be performing and have the ability to use it and be serious about it. But I think the applicability for that stuff can get lost for a lot of people because there's been some stuff of, like why does the Kalia need to exist if there's a QI35 women's or why does this, but people don't understand golf is incredibly inclusive and there's such a wide demographic of people that are included in the sport of golf. But there's still very separated demographics that you can choose between golf. So it's cool to talk to you as a guy that works on the full Metalwoods and then the women's line and then also, into the kids stuff, like, because you see the breadth of performance in that and how you can design different products that bucket themselves away without much crossover between that, which is really cool to see.
What's also crazy too, there is a ton of crossover. Like a lot of the technologies that we develop in our most top of the line woods will find its way all the way down into our junior set. Like it's just a matter of time in some cases, but like, we're using technology in that kids club. That's a titanium driver that those kids are using. It's got 17 degrees of loft, but it's super easy to hit, thin wall casting, super fast face actually. We're actually giving those kids some tech and not just an aluminum, pop metal driver. Like this is some real deal stuff. So
because they sound really good too. That's the other thing. I had
it's actually fun to hit. Actually, it's fun to
we
hit,
had. So there was I caddied for my little cousin. Same family I was just talking about. Their son. I caddied for him, and there was a kid that was using the TaylorMade set. And every time he hit it, I was like, man, that thing just sounds so good. Like it's great. It sounds like a TaylorMade, right? Like it comes off and you're like, there's a TaylorMade over there. All right. So then moving into a couple things, like I do want to talk about your par 3 dominance. Okay. Cause like I make the joke about it, but what about it for you is so comfortable, I guess, because it seems like every week you're like, here's another hole in one, and it's par 3 dominance, right? Like you're hitting wedges off of. Where are you, by the way?
So it's Kalina Park.
Okay.
And Kalina Park in San Diego is under the Pro Kids Golf Academy, and it's a kind of inner city golf course that was founded, believe it or not, like in the 40s.
Okay. Wow.
And I have a kind of a special connection with that golf course, and that's why I like it so much. Yeah. So believe it or not, my dad grew up like a few blocks away from that golf course. Sure. And his neighbor gave him a golf club for his like 7th birthday. Okay. And I kind of contribute that moment in time as to the reason why I'm sitting here with you right now, because my dad self-taught himself how to go play. He would ride his bike, go down to the golf course, and then he would just teach himself how to golf. And he fell in love with the game. And then, 30 years later, had me and my brother, and then I just kind of like going there. It's like it just feels like I'm kind of going home a little bit.
That's super cool.
So there's like this cool element of like family connection and playing golf, and it's easy. It's fun. I mean, actually, I take it back. It's not easy.
So it doesn't look like you make a lot of hole-in-ones out there, but the videos you post, it does not look super easy to do. Like
you're in that 65 to 120 yard range. You are hitting off mats, so that's easy. So you can fat one and still get away with it. Which I hit a lot of fat shots, but. Those launch high with not a lot of spin. But you can play that course in, a couple hours. My wife actually doesn't really like golf, but she'll play with me there.
That's awesome.
There's like something about like getting outside, hitting some shots. The greens are really good out there too. That's the one thing about that course. And I'm going to give Kalina Park a little bit of a plug because who's ever taking care of the greens out there is doing a phenomenal job.
Okay, good to know.
And the fun thing about that, if you play early morning tee time out there, I like backspin. I like seeing that ball dance off the mats. With some fresh grooves, that thing is all over the place on the greens, and I love that. Like you can throw it past the pin, it's coming back.
Zip it back,
Yeah, it's fun. Like you can get dialed in on your distances pretty good. So that's why there's a few hole-in-ones there, is because like I know on the whole 10, it's going to be about 70 yards or so, and like you kind of get grained in with that swing
sure.
or what you need to hit. And I'm gonna bring one. I bring 2 clubs. I bring a 58 degree and a putter.
Okay.
That's it. 1 ball. If you lose that ball, you should just walk off.
Fair enough. Yeah.
But yeah, I just love playing there for a lot of reasons. It's fun. It's fast. Greens are good. You still got a putt.
Yeah.
But the green's got a ton of undulation there. I think there's a kid there, and I wouldn't say don't quote me on this, but I think there's a kid there that plays a part of their academy.
Okay.
He's got like 70-something hole-in-ones there, and he's like 10 or 12. I mean, he plays every day.
Yeah.
You know, he's there like probably 7 days a week. And
Do you know what your total is?
There?
Yeah.
It's actually only 3, but my total like in all of golf is like I think 9 or 10. I kind of lost count.
I feel like you post hole-in-ones more than that.
I mean, there, I guess, but like
Yeah.
I don't post a lot. I post a lot of stories, but I don't post a lot.
Maybe that's what it is. It's just when it is posted.
It's generally something
It's
more,
usually
more important.
I got that.
Yeah.
All right. So then, speaking
Not posting my birthday.
decent segue. So 2 things there. One, your start in golf and your connection in golf. But before we get to that, we have to talk about your escapades as a is it trail? What do you call it with your Tacoma? Like, what are you guys
So
doing?
my other hobby outside of golf. So I'm dyed-in-the-wool golfer. I'm always going to identify as a golfer.
Yeah.
My whole family golfs. My mom golfs. My brother's a very accomplished golfer.
Yeah.
He works here too, actually. And then just golfing family. But when you work in the golf industry, sometimes you got to have an outlet that isn't golf.
100%.
Sometimes you just got to unplug for a bit.
Yep.
And for me, when I unplug, I go off-roading a lot and camping. Some people call it overlanding. Some people call it
overlanding. That was the word I was looking for. Okay, there we go. Yeah.
It's kind of an overused term. I would say it's almost frowned upon in that. It's funny. The communities are very same. Like there's certain things you don't say in the golfing world that you kind of don't say in that world. And everyone's, the Jeep guys don't like the Toyota guys. The Toyota guys don't like the Jeep guys, and the Chevy guys are just over there. And like it's this weird world. But
I'm a 4Runner guy, so maybe that's why we get along so well.
Big Toyota fan.
Yeah,
here.
same team. Yeah.
So. You go out there, you explore things, phone stays away.
Yeah.
I'm not on my phone. I'm just sitting around a campfire having some whiskey or a sandwich or grilling up some food with my buddies. Like it's just a nice way to just unplug for a bit, and then you come back, you feel like you checked the box. I didn't die. I didn't get eaten by a bear. My truck didn't break down, and I made it back. So it's fun because there's that kind of adventure element. And I say when you tie it back to golf, too, in that manner, my golf's an adventure in some cases. I'm all over the place off a tee. I wish I hit it a little bit straighter like you, but I do think that, there's a bit of beauty in just kind of adventured into the unknown a little bit.
Sure.
Yep.
I think, too, like, is there any parallel for you there? I don't want to put words in your mouth, but is there any parallel for you there of like tinkering with your truck and parts for stuff, and like tinkering with your truck and new parts and new gear for the truck and for going out there, and even if it's just like new camping gear or new, whatever for when you take breaks, or like, if I almost went down the road of like building out my 4Runner to do some of that stuff. Yeah. Because I lived in North Carolina where you can do that stuff.
Yeah.
And now I live in Chicago suburbs, can't do that stuff.
Yep.
And like I was so far down the rabbit hole of all this stuff that I was going to buy for my 4Runner and do it. Do you think that there is any sort of parallel just for you as for your mindset and the way you like to think about any hobby you do, that like, are you just a
100%.
tinkerer?
Yeah. Like I'm not going to keep anything stuck.
Yeah.
Like
that.
my clubs in my bag, the parts on my truck, the bed I sleep on when I go camping. I've done my research. I've watched a ton of YouTube videos. I was very strategic with the things that I've done in my truck, and I tried to learn from other people's mistakes. And when I look back, like when you compare that to golf, like there's certain things that I know work for me and don't work for me. So like I don't try to make something work for me that I know wouldn't.
Sure.
Like I'm not going to put 40s on my truck, it's tire size.
Yeah.
But because it would just like completely blow up my transmission.
Yeah.
But I know that if I stick within a certain range, I can gain a bit of clearance. But what compound is good in my tire? It's just like your grips. Like, what grips do you like?
Yeah.
It's the same stuff. It's all the same stuff. You're just spending a lot more money, unfortunately.
Yeah, but you and I are very similar. That like if you're gonna do it, you're gonna do it.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's no.
I'm all in.
Yeah, I'm not half-assing this. And it's also the other thing too is like, maybe for our wallets it's not the best decision, but for your comfort, your efficiency, and your enjoyment of whatever hobby you're doing, when you just go all in and you do it at that level, it really does make it more enjoyable too.
Part of me of getting into this hobby is also not necessarily like there's the adventure part. There's the seeking something different, but there's also like the aspect of learning.
Yeah.
And I always like to learn, regardless of whether it's golf or this off-roading hobby or, you know, how to fix my house.
Yeah.
Like I like to just do things on my own and do it and learn. And I think you know, when you get into this kind of hobby, there's a lot to learn. You know, my dad grew up as a mechanic when he was a kid, and it's like one of those things where it's like, I shouldn't say kid, when he was working. But yeah, it's like you like to figure things out. You like to know how they work. And once you understand how something works, it helps you make more educated decision. And you tie that right back to golf. You know, like you know, like so like I know what CG properties work for me in a driver.
Yeah.
I know I'm not a back CG guy. I like more loft with a more forward CG.
Okay.
That works with my swing path. I'm a little inside out and up. When I get my CG too far back, I get too much dynamic lofting, hit it low in the face, and then my shot goes all over the place. So when you start learning and understanding the dynamics of a club or a shaft or the grip even for that matter, like you can find a way to make even my garbage golf swing be a little bit better.
Yeah, sure.
And I think when you tie that back to, you know, the overlanding stuff, it's like comfort, reliability, you know, there's a little bit of cool factor in that too.
Oh, for sure.
Like you got to show up like you know what you're doing.
Yeah, 100%.
You know? You have to look like you fit in a little bit.
Yeah.
The same thing with golf. Like you pull up and you put your club down in front of the pro shop, and you know you got a, you know, set of clubs that look good. Like I play 790s. Like you know, I could easily play 770s or like a CB combo set.
Sure.
But I play 790s. I don't practice it as enough as I would like to. Like as you know this, when you work golf, you don't play a lot of golf.
It's tough, yeah.
So I said I'm going to lean in on tech. So thanks to Bovie for making a good set of 790s.
Yeah.
I play with 790s 2 degrees weak, half inch over, 1 up, and added the loft for me because I actually wanted to get rid of some offset.
Okay,
So
absolutely.
for me, it's a visual cue thing, and I can live with the extra bounce, and it just kind of works for me. And I don't mind playing a bigger club because it looks the way that I like it addressed.
Yeah, absolutely.
So sure, it's bigger, but you know I can get away with it.
Yeah, I think that's huge for people too. Like I was just talking to Dwayne about that with the video that you guys. It's on the YouTube channel. It should be by the time this comes out of the shaft fitting methodology. But we had a bunch of really cool nuggets in there, and one of them was talking about that video that Adrian did with Tommy when he was dialing in his R7.
Yep.
And it was such a visual thing. It was I need this face to look like this.
Yep.
And then you can make it do what you want to make it do.
Yep.
But like it's got to look like this.
Yep.
And it was funny because I had made one mention of like a visual cue that I have, and he had already in his head been adjusting things because he was like, okay, like Jake needs this to look a little bit open at address, so he's messing with the loft of the head to make sure that he can make the change on the sleeve to do that and get it back to the same spot. And stuff like that is so important to people. Like I don't think people will take or give that enough credit where, you know, there's some people that are truly good enough, and I know those people that, like, if I just hand them something, they're going to be okay with it.
Make it work.
But there's also people that, like, they just need the confidence and the comfort of looking at something and feeling something that is right to them. And then with a qualified fitter, like what I just did with Dwayne here is, you know, then he can dial it in and make sure the ball's going straight and far.
Yeah.
Right. And there's different ways of different combinations of things to get you there and then to be able to adjust it properly. And I think a lot of people just take that for granted, right? Like it's more, you know, I get that question all the time, right? I tell people, with shafts is a perfect example of, I get a lot of questions of why do I play TX stuff? And because they think that, you know, the perception with most of the people that message me that TX is like such a big CPM difference to X, right? And a lot of times it's very, very similar and it's just a torque issue. Yep. And even Dwayne said today, he was like, hey, just FYI, like we don't have it here, but if you play the TX part of that part that we just put you into, he's like, it's actually going to feel a little bit better.
Yep.
And I was like, I'm clipping that. I'm putting that everywhere so people stop asking me that question. But it just goes back to like everybody has a feel preference. So you saying that, you know, you're going to weaken them because you want to take a little bit of that offset out, but you're relying on the tech because you don't have the ability to hone in your game as much as you wish you did. It's a really cool way of thinking about golf clubs in general. And it's a really cool mindset that it brings people into the world of there are things that matter that you might not have thought of before. But if you can get with a qualified person to kind of unlock those thoughts for you, it makes the golf journey, at least for me, it's just more fun. Right?
Yeah, like so there's two things that I'm pretty passionate about. I'm a huge believer in love at first sight. I do think that when you see something you like, you intuitively want to make it work.
Sure.
You're like, man, I really like the way that looks at a dress, or I like the cosmetics, or I like the way that the offset is, whatever it might be. If you're picking up on a cue of something that you really like the way it looks, you're automatically off to a good start.
Yeah.
Check.
Yep.
Then you go get fit. Like, what's going to get you to go hit it? Right? That's going to be the, you know, I want to take it off the rack, look at it, and then, let's go hit it. There's that moment in time that every golfer has to decide, do I like the way this looks?
Yeah.
And that's why, you know, people say, cosmetics don't mean anything. But that's your first interaction with the product. When you see a video or when you watch a YouTube or you see an ad wherever, like, you're going to make a decision whether I'm going to even try that club. So we spend a lot of time on cosmetics, and you know, like our irons look beautiful. Our woods have this like really cool new finish with that chromium carbon fiber. We spend a lot of time to at least get you to want to pick it up. Yeah. And then, you know, then it's our team, the product creation team. We have to be the voice of the golfer. You know, we have to make cosmetic decisions that now when you put it down and you mean business that you're going to take that club back and you're going to hit it, you know, how's it going to look at a dress? Is it too open? Is it too closed? Too upright? You know, like we sweat over the small things, like score line orientation, what color the grooves are. Is the face blast on an iron bright enough, or is it too dull, or should the grain lines on the finish go a different way? Like, there's so many things that we think about that no one even like bats an eye at, but it's those subconsciouses that like, I feel good about even just like, you don't need to know about it. Why we use a tie flash decal on top of our driver. But it's one of those things that you don't need to know about it, but it makes you feel good. You know, and like even the R7, going back to that, like even the way that the weights are colored, you know, we have this little yellow ring and then this little silver ring around the perimeter to help you identify, just like little cues that add up to the total experience of the product. But then it's got to flat out. So it's still got to perform. Performance is still number one for us. It's got to be, you know, the longest, most forgiving driver that we can make. And I think we're doing a pretty good job of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think something cool that you said there too is like, I can't remember what the exact quote was from somebody, but they had said that they want to make things feel comfortable and they want to put you in a situation to succeed without you realizing even what question to ask of why. Right? Like they just want you to feel good about it. And there's all these little nuances, whether it's, you know, the shade of paint, whether it's the application of the paint, whether it's the finish, whether it's the material, you know, anything. Like there's all these little things. Another guy that at some point I will do one of these with, because he would be a great one, is Bovie. Like to talk to him about irons and what you guys are doing with irons is going to be a fun conversation one day. But it's the same way, like I've heard him talk about it that way of like, there's this long list of things I could tell you. He's like, but none of them matter to you. He's like, they matter to me, they matter to our team, and they matter to the overall feeling of this product. He's like, but these individual things, he's like, they don't matter to you, and they never will. And I'm like, well, that's cool. Like and then of course I was like, well, but tell me more. You know, like
we are those guys that want to know
exactly.
more.
I was like, but wait, but I want to know. I was like, it might not matter, but like, what's the list?
Like what color is the speed foam? Actually?
Right. Like exactly. Like where is it actually? Like what does it look like? And then, but it's cool because like you guys do things here with, you know, like the cutouts, for example, of the new P790 with the progression inside and showing everybody like what that system looks like and where the support is and where the tungsten goes, like where the speed, like that stuff is cool to let people into it and to be transparent about it, because I think the customer nowadays in golf is they're very in tune, right? Like
absolutely.
Nothing's a mystery anymore. Nothing's a mystery on tour. Nothing's a mystery in fitting bays. Nothing's a mystery really in the marketplace anymore. It's so hard to keep a secret in golf now, which is its own, like we could get into that in its own whole topic, but it's very hard to keep a secret in golf now. And I think that TaylorMade has done a good job just leaning into the transparency of it. Does that internally, what is that thought process? Like, what is that feeling for you guys, you know, sitting at your desks with your teams of, you know, like acknowledging the transparency and kind of giving it to people?
So first and foremost, we got to, you know, like I said earlier, we got to perform. How we get there is a part of the fun, right? You know, what levers are we going to pull for distance or forgiveness or for sound or for feel or shaft or whatever. But I do think it's important too that when you make those decisions that we're all doing it through the lens of the golfer. There's not a meeting that I don't think about the end user of that product, whether they're brand new to the game or they're Tiger Woods. Like they're just, honestly, the regular golfer is more important to me than some of the tour players, because you know, they're specific. They have their own ways of wanting to do things, and that's all well and good. They're the top of the pyramid. But the people that matter most to me are the guys walking into a golf shop wanting to get fit or learn more about my product. And I think transparency is important because, in my opinion, you have to give every golfer, I have to assume every golfer knows what they're talking about. Even though that there's this, like, oh, that guy's brand new to the game. He probably doesn't care what the inside of a 790 looks like.
Sure.
Even if he doesn't understand it,
Yeah.
he wants to learn. Just like I was saying with my truck stuff.
Yeah.
I want to learn more.
Yeah.
And I think there's this, every golfer of their ability level wants to learn. They want to grow within the game.
Yeah.
And if they can latch on to something, transparency is important.
Yeah.
We don't have, we make some other stuff for some tour players, but we don't do it as often as others. But we have the occasional like tour part.
Mm-hmm.
But it's funny. Like, I think it's important. Like transparency is important. Like our tour stuff is, I want to play a production part. The whole like, tour is faster stuff is like, so
yeah, they don't there's so much. Yeah, it's talk about like, okay, you can't really keep a secret in golf anymore, but also like some of the things that people think are secrets. Like I get messages every now and then. They're like, hey, is this thing true about this thing on tour? And I was like, no. I was like, I don't know who told you that, but that's crazy. Because there are, and depending on the OEM too, there's different levels of that, right?
Yeah.
But like the big thing for you guys right now is like the dot heads, for example.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so funny because like me and like Wonder does this too all the time. Where like we'll get questions in our Q&As about like the dot head all the time, and I'm like, you don't need it. Like that, don't worry about it. Like it's such a specific niche. Like this person needed this thing type of thing.
The spin of LS with the look of core.
Yeah,
it's as simple as that.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, cool. And for them, it's about hitting the same window that they've hit for the last decade.
Yeah.
Right. Like it's not about
there's no pixie dust inside that makes it go further.
Yeah, there's nothing
it's
there.
Just
like
a look and CG thing.
Yeah,
Yep.
and I tell people all the time, I'm like, look, with your swing, with your ability, with our weekend warrior mentality, go get a core head. And then work with a fitter to figure out what that launch window is, and it'll be fine.
Yep.
Like you don't, but it's stuff like that like it doesn't. It like there's I don't get upset by those messages, but I'm also it's so confusing sometimes what gets said in certain places and then what comes back to like me or questions that if I don't have the answer, like I'll reach out to guys like you and be like, hey, like this thing, like I don't know what's going on here.
Yeah.
But it's funny, like some of the stuff that gets thrown around.
People want what they can't have.
Yeah.
There's that part of it too. And there's also like, it's got to be better because it's in their hands. In some cases, actually not better for you.
Yeah.
Because we look at the bell curve of all golfers.
Yeah.
And our stock product is going to fit 95% of golfers.
Yeah.
Right off the rack.
Yeah.
And you go get custom fit, you dial it in even more. Now you have literally probably a part that's going to perform better off the rack for most. Most golfers.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, and you guys also too, I think, at the end of last year and then moving into this year, you guys have really stepped up the availability of some of that like saucy stuff, right? Like Rory's putter was released in a very limited quantity. Like even going back to like the Jason Day Itsy Bitsy, it was cool,
I
right?
worked on that one, a long time ago.
The Masters edition of like the DJ putter that one year. So it's not like super new for you guys. I would say it's a little bit more frequent nowadays. Like yesterday, we had the launch as we're filming this. Yesterday was the launch of the Proto wedge, which is cool. Like that's what Ben Griffin is in right now. I think we're at the Travelers this week. So I would imagine Travelers is like a decent testing week for guys, right?
Yeah, a handful in play probably.
So like that's super cool for those guys to move into it, and we got some new grinds in there. But like you guys releasing that is super cool, right?
Yeah.
Like just the fact that like the Proto, and it also like it's fun that it says Proto, right?
Yeah.
Like it's cool.
People like to have a little flex on your buddies. You got something else that you can't get normally.
Yeah, 100%. So no, that stuff's great, and I think that offering that to consumer, having the transparency, but also having the freedom of like a little quirkiness of like every now and then like dropping a Proto wedge and letting people
gotta have some fun.
Actually have it, right? Yeah. So then rewinding a little bit for you as we try to like get into a wrap up is your start in golf. Like you've been at TaylorMade for 18 years.
Yep.
For people that are watching, they might not understand that that's not unicorn status quite in the golf industry, but it's not super unique for somebody to stay at one OEM for 18 years. The golf industry is very revolving, right? Like it's a very, I don't know if friendly is the right word, but it's a very fluid industry where a lot of times people will, they'll do the thing that they went out to achieve at one place and they feel like they need to move to another place to achieve this next thing. And a lot of times it actually ends up circling back around where, like I know people right now that started at a place and they're back at it, 15 years later or whatever.
Yep.
But talk to us a little bit about that because that's a unique story in golf, I think, for somebody to be at one place for 18 years. Like what's the catalyst for you of that?
I will say, TaylorMade as a whole, right? I'm going to speak on behalf of other people that work here too. There's guys on our PGA department. I think collectively, that entire tour department, Willie King, Jim Armstrong, Oscar Abner, Tafu, all those guys have, I think the collective employment of just that one tour team is like 300 years.
Wow.
So like, people don't, like, once you get in here, you kind of don't want to leave.
Yeah.
There's this, I hate this term, but there is a little bit of family aspect to this.
Sure, yeah.
I come to work and I get to see my friends. I get to work in golf. I get to hang out with guys like you. Like, it's a pretty dream job when you think about it. But we work in golf.
Yeah.
We're trying to help people play better, and I get to hang out with my buddies at work. Like, it's a pretty perfect experience for me. Like, how my brother works here. Yeah. So it's like I get to see family. Like, literally.
Yeah, literally family. Yeah.
So it's one of those things where I'm pretty fortunate to land this position, this job.
Sure.
It's the golf industry is pretty tight knit. It's about who you know, and not necessarily. I mean, we got physicists and aerospace guys that work here. That's a whole nother level of employment. But like, I do think it's we all just kind of stick it out. We want to see people succeed. We want to see our brand succeed, and we're not going to give up on that dream ever.
Yeah. And what's your growth pattern been? It's like, what was your first job at TaylorMade when you came in?
I was a performance vehicle technician. And what that means then was I drove around a mini tour truck for consumers. Okay. So basically we had a mobile tour lab that I would take you out to the range. I would pull up to your country club. Yeah. There'd be a big demo day. I would fit from, let's say, 8 in the morning to about noon, how many fits I could get in. And then from noon to about 5, then I would be personally building the orders that I just fit. So it was, I fit you, I would build your clubs on site, then I'd leave them in the pro shop when I left, and then on to the next course. My territory was Omaha, Nebraska to Pittsburgh and north. So that entire section. So it was, you're on the road 7 days a week.
It's a lot of driving,
I had a lot of Applebee's. Drink a lot of Blue Moon.
Are you Applebee's over Chili's?
No, I'm a Chili's guy.
Okay, thank God.
Dude, Applebe's, no offense if Applebee's
they fell off.
Yeah. More of a Chili's guy.
Yeah, they fell off. Chili's is it. Chili's is it.
Dude,
so
my waistline knows that I like Chili's.
That's okay. Yeah, mine too. So you're driving around the country. Yep. Most of the country. Yeah, you're driving around most of the country. What was it like? This is going to sound really bad. I apologize. What was it like to fit before adapters?
It was lugging around a lot of staff bags. So like every staff, we would try to pre-build every kind of conceivable combination. So like I would have, it's funny at the time, like this is when the NV was out, the Graphite Blue, Fujikura speeders.
Such a good time,
UST, V2s, like, sorry, not V2, the original Pro Force, like all sorts of stuff. So it was one of those things where, okay, I need a super quad in 8, 9, 10.5, and I need them in S, R, and A, and then I need right-hand, left-handed. So like you'd have a sea of
in each of those shafts.
Pre-built. So then you'd have all these clubs pre-built. You leave them in the van, you bust out the rows of staff bags on the range, and you have to try to figure out where they went. Stuff would get stolen. Then you got to rebuild it.
Yeah, stuff walks off, I'm sure, yeah.
People just show up randomly because you can't keep track of it. Yeah. Stuff would just disappear.
Oh, hold on. That's our...
I'm good, actually, on time if you want to go a little bit longer.
Okay. No, that's fine with me.
Let me just send, while we're taking a pause, let me send a message real quick to Esme.
You want me to send the timer?
Yeah. Give me
we're close.
Let's just wrap it up.
Okay. Yeah, we're close here.
Yeah. Stuff's getting stolen on the range.
Yeah, stuff's getting stolen on the range. Okay. So then moving from that.
Yep. Then I went to finance.
Well, hold on.
Yeah.
Okay. Wait. So you went from being a traveling fitter.
Yep.
Which was probably a really cool job. I'm sure you have a million stories from that, by the way.
My girlfriend at the time, now wife, it was tough. She's at home. I'm gone all the time.
Yeah, that's tough.
But we actually decided to terminate the program. So we had 6 vans that would drive around the country. It was getting a little spending a lot on diesel and Applebee's at the time. Yeah. So we decided to cut the vans. That whole thing I think ended late 2008, early 2009.
What was your most famous fit when you did that?
Like from a person?
Yeah. Had to be somebody, right? At some point.
Couldn't tell you honestly, but I do remember there was people that I fit them and they would drive to the next course. So let's say I fit them. They got their driver. They loved it so much. They'd like track me down, like where is the next event at?
Yeah.
They would drive 50, 60 miles to find me and just say like, hey, I just want to buy you a beer, or thank you for.
Oh, that's so
like,
nice.
Like those are the things that stuck out with me. So it
Yeah.
wasn't about like the person, but I would say it's more about like, I legitimately made this guy play better.
That's
or he
so
liked
cool.
his driver so much that he had to like go out of his way
Yeah,
to
to
like
find
buy
you.
me a sandwich or
Yeah.
something, whatever it might be. But
That's sweet.
I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was to me that was the most rewarding
Yeah,
part. It's
cool.
like, hey, this dude's now playing better because I got to help him out.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But yeah, then with the finance, so cut the womp womp.
Okay, yeah.
Cut the position.
Yeah.
They cut the job. I literally had to drive back from Madison, Wisconsin to San Diego, and we had to like return the vehicles.
Yeah.
Essentially, it's like, okay, sorry, you're out of a job. Drive back the
Yeah,
vans.
sorry you're out of a job, but hey,
Yeah.
can you drive
Yeah, I can
24
drive
hours
back.
to give the
Yeah. So that was a tough drive back.
Yeah.
But me and my coworker, we drank a lot of Red Bull and we toughed it out and drove all the way through straight.
Oh,
All the way to
jeez.
Palm Springs. So
Oh, man.
we stopped in Palm Springs. I had a buddy, Curtis, who got us that. We played Mission Hills in 117-degree weather.
Oh.
I said, yeah, let's drive across the country, go play golf in Palm Springs, and then come back to here. So did that. Actually played pretty well that day. Come back, drop off the vans, and then kind of went through the exit of TaylorMade. I
Sure.
was like, oh, man, my dream's over. Like, this is it. But then a position actually opened up while I was leaving the company.
Okay.
And they said, like, hey, there's a finance position. Would you be interested? I said, I'll take whatever I can get.
Yeah.
So
You
and
just
then-
wanted to stay.
Yeah, I just wanted to stay
Yeah.
with the brand. It was a master data management position. So
Okay.
it was essentially building golf clubs, but with numbers. So
Yeah.
I was building like bill of material, doing data management
Okay.
stuff. Did that actually for quite a while. Then went to operations for a bit, and then I've been in product creation for almost the last 10 years
Okay.
of employment, of working under Brian Basil. At the time, Tomo for a bit,
Tomo,
now
yeah.
Andrew.
Yeah.
So basically had some phenomenal bosses, and I have a great boss now, Andrew Oldno, who's been at Nike and a few other places. He's been at Callaway, Cleveland, and Nike.
Yep. There's
now-
the golf industry. Yep.
And working for him right now, and he's just been a phenomenal leader and boss, and just really
Yeah.
like the team that we have. The fact that we get to be creative, we get to feed off each other. That's one thing cool about this is like I know you worked with Patrick earlier on wedges, but I'll ask his opinion on woods, and
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
he's asking me on wedge stuff, and there's
Yeah.
like a lot of this symbiotic relationship with our department. Like
Sure.
we're all separated by category,
Yeah.
but like we're all working on this stuff together,
Yeah.
which I think is the cool part about it. But yeah, building clubs, physically building clubs in the system.
Yeah.
Little dabble in operations, and then went to product creation. So it's been fun.
What was the first product that, like, if it had IMDb credits, your name would have been on?
M1 Rescue.
What a banger of a product to have for
Yeah.
your first. Yeah. Holy
Yeah.
cow.
So I started when R15 was just kind of finishing.
Okay.
So just put it in perspective. So when I started in product creation,
Yeah.
R15 was just launching.
Okay.
I had just started, and then the first one where I actually had a little bit of input was the M1 Rescue.
Okay.
Love that club.
Yeah. So this is, again, we're going to be a little negative here. I make fun of Kim Johnson for this all the time.
Okay.
R15.
Great rescue.
Yeah, but
I
the
like
drivers, but the driver lineup, not it. Right? Like that one was funny. So Kim Johnson at the time was here at the time.
Yeah.
She had to throw the launch party for R15.
Okay.
And she tells me this story all the time. She's like, dude, that launch party was so hard because it was so difficult to get people excited about that product because the tour guys wanted nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's so funny you say that.
Hey,
'cause,
won a
like,
PGA though.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah,
and I told her, I'm like, but like,
it
so
performed.
when I came into golf was like right at that cusp of that TaylorMade
Yep.
team. So it was Day, Sergio, Rory, DJ, and then who's the other one at the time?
You got Rose. I think,
And Rosie, yeah, and Rosie, like just an all-star tour team. Not that the tour team now is bad, obviously.
Yep.
I mean, you guys got like basically half the top 10 in Tiger, but yeah, that it was just a funny launch between other very, very successful launchers, and like
Yep.
that was like for me the catalyst of me getting into golf was that technology and like getting into like even going back to like R1 and building up from
yeah.
there, and then like my first like my driver of my own was an SLDR with the white top, by the
Oh,
way,
yeah.
not the regular one, and it's just like so for me I have a connection to TaylorMade in my mind, and I
Yep.
always will, because when I came into golf with no influence of anything, it was just like TaylorMade just like screamed at me from an equipment standpoint. And then as I started to get into equipment and into certain opportunities that I had within golf, there was always like some sort of a TaylorMade connection to that thing. So it always felt super cool to me. Like I've been a TaylorMade irons guy for a really long time. Was really disappointed there for a while because we didn't have the P7 CB. I think you and I actually talked about this. Perry and I talked about it, I know that. When that P7 CB came out, it was a rejoicement for guys like me who had been dying for that
You
thing.
need a little bit of help, but you still get these looks.
Yeah,
It's perfect.
and it was just something like we kind of felt was like missing from the TaylorMade catalog.
Yep.
Even
MC was hard to hit. I actually thought
it
MC
was hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was difficult. And like
Beautiful,
P760 was
almost too far the other way.
it was close. Yeah, right. It was real close. So, but no, like I said, I've always had a small connection with TaylorMade. I'm so, I did have a little bit of like a pinch me thing walking in here this morning with the name. Like, so this is the first time that I've ever done this by myself to come to the Kingdom. I've always been kind of associated with a brand coming here. I've never had the chance to do it. Dwayne was super excited for me to come. Like, he had been messaging me on Instagram and obviously talking to Matt. And then, Perry's not here today, but like I used to talk to Perry all the time. And then getting a chance to sit down, I've been dying to do this with you. But like,
you're always welcome here.
It was a little bit of a pinch me of like, man, like that's really cool. And like I got to do the locker thing this time.
Yeah.
Like I've never gotten to do that. So there's these little things, and like TaylorMade always has like, regardless of what clubs end up in my bag or whatever, which changes every day anyhow. But, all that set aside, like, I'm so appreciative of you guys and you especially, like, A, I've been wanting to do this for a while. We've been trying to line it up. But B, like, it's so fun to be able to talk to you guys and, like, get this, like, little, mindset change and, like, be able to visit a place like this. So,
yeah, there's one thing, like, the outward customer sees of our brand.
Yeah.
You see the tour players, you see the big TaylorMade, like, there's a lot of marketing behind it.
Yeah.
But I think when you boil it down to all the people that work here and going back to the employment and stuff, like, we're all in it to win it. And we all want to see other golfers succeed. That's why I will come to work every day. Is ultimately maybe some dude might get his first hole in one.
Yeah.
Or someone might be the club champ for the first time. Like that's what really motivates us.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, it's amazing, man. Well, thank you for sitting down. Thanks for taking the time. We will we'll have a follow up at some point.
Yeah,
you and I we're gonna do this again for sure. But yeah, until then, I think we got a couple more minutes till balls are up again. I might ask Dwayne to hit a couple more out there, but yeah, that's it. Thanks a bunch, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, let's do it again.
Awesome, cool. Thanks for watching. If you guys are watching on YouTube, most of you are either watching this on a TV in the background or listening to this on Spotify or somewhere else. I don't know where you're listening to this to, but thank you everybody for that. Leave a rating if you're on any of the audio platforms, and then feel free to subscribe if you guys are watching on YouTube. But yeah, thanks again, man, and see you guys next time.